We spend more when we're told no for a long time, and then we just go on a binge. But when we tell ourselves we can spend this much money per month, most of the time, my families don't even spend that. It's the idea of knowing that you can that makes you feel better. All right. And when you know that you can't, you feel bad. And eventually, on that debt diet, you're going to blow that debt diet up. Okay. So being told you can't, not working. Being told you can, most of the time you're going to spend under that. So they know they have about $1,300 left over every month. This is the money that goes into savings. Now we're going to take a look at the accounts. How much do they owe? We're going to take a look at the first accounts. We're going to take a look at their bank account. In checking, they have about $500 right now, but look at their savings. They have $5,138.89. That's what they have in savings. Now we're going to take a look at their auto loan. They have $25,000 auto loan. It's at 4%. They have $2,000 on their Visa, which is 21%. Most people look at that and start cringing. 21%, oh my God, costs us a lot of money. And now we're going to take a look at the mortgage, $200,000 at a whopping 6% interest. Okay, so that's a total of $227,000 that they owe. All right, so now we're going to go back to the action plan and take a look at these windows up above. I hope you can see them. Over on the right side, it says this is our potential interest savings for John and Rebecca Jones. Even before they make their first payments on this loan, the program has already calculated if they follow our program, they're going to save approximately $179,393 in interest they will not have to pay. Wow. $179,000 in interest they won't have to pay. That's where we focus. It's the only program on the planet that focuses on how not to pay the interest, and we're going to figure that out for you up front. Okay? If we have how much interest you are not going to pay, therefore, it is the interest that you pay that drags this thing out. And therefore, if they don't pay this interest, they'll be able to pay off their loan. Now, here's what's amazing. The same budget that qualified them for these loans, we're going to use that same budget to pay everything off in 7.7 years. What do you think about that, Ms. Patrice?
That's pretty amazing.
Okay, so here's what we're doing. So we're going to go through the first month here and talk about what's happening. When John gets paid his $950, all he has to do is when he gets paid, he just clicks on the line and tells the program by clicking execute that he got paid. When he gets paid, then he just tells the program that he does, and it is deleted from this month of the program. So this week he got paid. So we're not looking at that anymore. We just check that off the list. But if we go into accounts, so in the program is what we call a virtual checking account. This is not his actual checking account, and it's not linked to this bank. But we are telling the program that we received $950. But if we go into the history, we can see that it started out at $500. We added $950 to his bank account at Wells Fargo. Okay. And then when at Wells Fargo, he has $1,450 in their joint checking account. So our program has to reflect the same amount. Follow so far?
Yes, I'm following.
All right. So now when we tell the program how much they paid on their mortgage, $1,999.10, because we have enough in the checking account to pay the mortgage, we're going to subtract that from the bank account, and we're going to subtract that from the virtual checking account in the program. Again, with the utilities, we're going to do the same thing. And then Rebecca gets paid. So we're going to add back $700. Okay. And then do you see these little arrows on the screen here? This is when the program does all of the math involved and says, you know what? You've told us how much you have to spend. But when you start putting this money in, as soon as the program sees extra money, it would be 12.5 of last year, 12.5. Okay. And they said, okay, checking account. We have $190 in your checking account that you don't need for anything else because you even told us how much money you want to spend on fun. So it says, take that money from checking and put it in your savings account, $100.90. Exactly that amount, No more, no less. Do exactly what the program says. Now, pay the phone bill on the 7th. Rebecca gets paid on the 12th. And then on that same day, we're going to move $588.72 from the joint checking into savings, and we're going to leave it there. Watch what happens here. Now, we don't see any more arrows for the month of December, meaning that we're not putting any extra money on the mortgage. Here's the Visa payment, $50.88. We're not putting any extra on there. We're just making the minimum payment. What? Minimum payment on a credit card? Who does that? The P.I.L.L method. All right. And minimum payment on the auto loan, $460.41. So now we're just pretending that we just spent all of this money and we clicked off on everything. Now we're down into January. Look at this. We're starting over in January. We're making money and we're paying bills. All right. We have $350 going into savings. We've got $700. We've got another $398. We're paying our bills and we're putting money in. And we call this the macro money. Okay. But again, we're still paying the Visa, the minimum on the Visa, the minimum on the car loan, the minimum on the mortgage. But that's called the macro money. Let's get into the micro money. I want to show you something that's very interesting that somehow has escaped the idea from most programs. Okay. So let's say the utility bill is supposed to be about $200, but instead the utility bill is less than $200. Let's say it's $150. So the program says, well, you plan to spend $200, but you only spent $150. That means you have $50 in money you did not spend on electricity. So what? All right. If we didn't have a budget designed just to take care of fun, we might be tempted to spend that $50 to go out to eat with or something. But since we already have a fun budget, then the program says, I'll tell you what to do with the $50. Let's put that $50 into savings, right? So now we're putting from checking, we take out $150.90 and put that in savings. And we are going to increase the interest that we're going to save by about $250. If you knew that $50 could save you an additional $250 in interest, and we put it on the screen for you to look at, wouldn't that be valuable to you, Miss Patrice?
Yeah, information. So you know exactly what you could potentially do. So yeah.
Right. And so now one might say, well, Don, are you just going to keep saving that money? When are you going to put it on the debt? Well, we can change these windows to give us different information. We're going to go down here and click on Next Debt Transfer. And when we do, we get to see that even though we're in December, if we follow the program, we could have by February 6th, $3,170 in our savings account to apply to debt. Now, why is that important? Because all of the other programs, especially the guy in Tennessee, all right, says you've got to take money away from the family, all right, and take all of that money and throw it at the debt to get out of debt. Okay.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.